Hello, welcome to our channel Learn to Score. In this video, we are going to discuss statistics for class 10th. The topics covered are the following: mean of group data using direct method, assumed mean method, and step deviation method, mode of group data, median of the group data, which value of central tendency to use, graphical representation of cumulative frequency distributions, those are called OSIVs, and obtaining median from cumulative frequency graphs. I hope you will like the video. Please subscribe to our channel for regular updates. Thank you. Let us learn about mean of group data now. Before that, let's quickly recall mean of ungrouped data which we learnt in earlier classes. Consider marks of total 6 subjects of a student in a test are 21, 23, 23, 24, 25 and 25. What is the average mark? To answer this question, statistics, which is a part of mathematics, is going to help you. As per the statistics, mean or average of observations is defined as sum of the values of all observations divided by number of observations. For example, you want to find mean of few observations such as x1, x2, x3, x4, x5 and so on up to xn. Total number of observations, let's say, are n. Then mean of these observations can be written as x bar equal to x1 plus x2 plus x3 plus x4 plus and so on up to xn divided by n, where n is the total number of observations. Please note this. Using this formula, now we can find the average mark of the student. Average mark can be written now as 21 plus 23 plus 23 plus 24 plus 25 plus 25 divided by 6, right? When you simplify it, you get it as 141 divided by 6, that is equal to 23.5. It means the average mark of the student is 23.5, right? This can also be written as, if you observe here, you have 23 coming twice. That's why I have written 2 times 23, right? And 25 comes twice. I'm writing it as 2 times 25. So average mark is going to be, again, you're going to get 23.5 only. But while writing, I have, instead of writing it as 23 plus 23, I have written it as 2 times 23. In the case of 25, I have written it as 2 times 25, right? It means this particular formula, x1 plus x2 plus x3 and so on up to xn divided by n, can be now modified and written as x bar equal to f1 x1 plus f2 x2 plus f3 x3 and so on up to fn xn divided by f1 plus f2 plus f3 plus f4 and so on up to fn, right? What here f means? F means frequency. In the case of earlier problem, we have said 23 appeared twice, right? It means 2 is the frequency of 23. 2 is the frequency of 23, and similarly 25 appeared twice, that's why 2 is the frequency of 25. Similarly, in this definition, if x1 appears, let's say, 5 times, then f1 is going to be 5. f1 is frequency of the first observation, that is x1. Similarly, f2 is the frequency of the second observation, that is x2. Like that, if you have written all the observations and their frequencies, then you can write x bar as sigma fi xi divided by sigma fi. Here, when I say sigma, this is the summation symbol. It means we are going to sum all fi xi's, meaning f1 x1 plus f2 x2 plus f3 x3. Here I is called index. Okay, it represents numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 and so on up to your the last observation. If last observation is 10, then I represents 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 and 10. You understood? Now, let's solve a problem based on this concept. The marks obtained in mathematics by 30 students of class 10th of a certain school are given in the table below. Find the mean of the marks obtained by the students. Right? Here, the table shows that 10 marks are obtained by one student, 20 marks are obtained by one student, 36 marks are obtained by 3 students, 40 marks by 4 students, like that, right? One person has got 95 marks. He is the topper of the class, right? Now we are asked to find the mean of the marks obtained by the students, meaning what is the class average? That's what is asked in this question. So we know mean is defined as x bar, that is equal to sigma fi xi divided by fi. Here fi is given, right? Those are numbers 1, 1, 3, 4 and so on. Xi are given, that are 10, 20, 36, 40 and so on, right? What is missing in this particular case is fi xi, right? Let's try to find that now. Fi xi you will obtain just by multiplying fi value with xi value, right? F1 is 1 and x1 is 10, right? Now let's multiply and write it. 1 times 10 equal to 10. This is f1 x1. Similarly, f2 x2 is going to be 1 times 20, that is equal to 20. f3 x3 is going to be 3 times 36, that is equal to 108, right? f4 x4 is 4 times 40, that is 160. Like that, we can compute fi xi for rest of the numbers given. That is, the next one is 3 times 50, the next one is 2 times 56, 4 times 60, 4 times 70, 1 times 72, 1 times 80, 2 times 88, 3 times 92, 1 times 95, right? Now we have to take sum of these values. We have to get sigma fi xi and sigma fi, right? Sigma fi xi, if you do summation, you get it as 1779. And sigma fi is known, that is 30. Anyway, you can add all these numbers 1 plus 1 plus 3 and so on, so that when you add, you get sigma fi as 30. That is essentially equal to the number given in the problem statement, that 30 students, right? Now let's substitute these values into the formula given, that is x bar equal to sigma fi xi divided by sigma fi. When you substitute and simplify, you get x bar as 59.3, right? Let me write it. Mean of the marks obtained by 30 students is x bar, that is equal to 59.3. The point here you have to note is that in real life situations, you will have data which is usually large. For example, here we have written data for 30 students, right? If you have to write data for 1 lakh students or 2 lakh students from, appearing for the exam, your final exam from your state, then it is going to be big number, right? It's going to be something like few lakhs. Then tabulating that in this kind of fashion is going to be tedious and time consuming, right? So what I'm saying is ungrouped representation of such data, the huge data, is difficult and time consuming. Then what is the alternative? The alternative is to convert the data into the group data. Let's understand that now. Let us now learn about group data. We have seen this, the marks obtained in mathematics by 30 students of 10th class, right? Here, I want to group them into 6 classes. I'm here introducing terminology that is called class interval. Let's understand this first. Let me first say that 10 to 25 is one class. Okay. Here 10 is the lower limit of the class and 25 is the upper limit of the class. Okay, in this class we would be including the students who have got 10 marks and 20 marks. 36 marks is not going to be part of this particular class. Okay, in the similar manner I can have few more classes, right? 25 to 40 is another class, 40 to 55 is another class, the next class is 55 to 70, 70 to 85, and 85 to 100, right? Since total marks in the exam is 100, I'm stopping here. Now let's include the number of students for the first class, that is 10 to 25. As I said earlier, this particular number of students and this one will be part of 10 to 25 class. That's why it is 1 plus 1, that is equal to 2, right? Now we have to see 25 to 40 class. How many students are there? 36 belongs to this particular class. Mark 36 marks is part of 25 to 40 marks, right? That's why these students are going to be part of 25 to 40 class. What about this particular 40? Now the question is, I have 40 here and I have 40 here. Where to include? In which class to include 40 marks is the question. The convention people chose is, if the score is equal to the upper class boundary, then include it in the next class. It means since 40, the score 40 is the upper class limit for this particular class, we have to include 40 in this particular class, 40 marks into the next class, that is 40 to 55 class, right? You got it? So it means only 36 is going to be part of 25 to 40 class. It means 36, 3 number of students have got, that's why 25 to 40 class has 3 number of students. Now let's go to 40 to 55 class, right? We said 40 marks is going to be part of 40 to 55 class. It means 4 is part of 4 number of students is part of 40 to 55 class, and 50 marks, that is 3 number of students, that is also part of 40 to 55 class, right? It is going to be for 40 to 55 class, it is going to be 4 plus 3, that is equal to 7. So total 7 number of students are there for 40 to 55 class. Now the question is about 55 to 70 class, right? 56 falls in this class, 60 falls in this class. What about 70? As per this particular definition, 70 cannot be part of 50 to 70 class, right? So 50 to 70 class is going to have the numbers 2 and 4. That's why 2 plus 4 equal to 6. Now 70 class has to 70 marks has to fall in 70 to 85 class. 72 is also part of that class, and 80 marks is also part of that class, right? So total 4 plus 1 plus 1 is going to be part of 70 to 85 class, right? Let me write that. That is equal to 6. Rest are going to be part of 85 to 100 class, right? 88, 92 and 95. Let's write that. 2 plus 3 plus 1, that is also equal to 6. So now we learned how to group the given ungrouped data into various classes, right? Now let's learn about obtaining mean of this group data. We have grouped data of 30 students, marks of 30 students into 6 groups, right? The first class or first group has 2 number of students, 25 to 40 class has 3 number of students, 40 to 55 class has 7 number of students, 50 to 70 class has 6 number of students, like that, right? We have seen the definition of mean is x bar equal to sigma fi xi divided by sigma fi, right? Here we have fi, right? Xi is not there. What is known is class interval, right? Class interval is saying 10 to 25, 25 to 40, like that. Now to get the class mark, I'm using this definition. Upper class limit plus lower class limit divided by 2 is my class mark. It is based on the assumption that frequency of each class is centered around the midpoint. You will understand this point in a while. For time being, let me define the class mark xi as sum of upper class limit and lower class limit divided by 2, right? The lower class limit is 10 and upper class limit is 25. Sum them and divide it with 2. That's how you get 17.5. That is the first class mark of first class. For the second class, it is going to be 25 plus 40 divided by 2, that is equal to 32.5. For the next class, it is going to be 40 plus 55 divided by 2, that is equal to 47.5. For the next class, it is 62.5. For the next class, it is 77.5. And for the last class, it is 92.5. That is equal to 85 plus 100 divided by 2. Right? Now we have Fi, Xi, right? So that we can now get sigma Fi Xi divided by sigma Fi so that we can obtain the mean. Let's first get sigma Fi Xi. Fi Xi is going to be 2 times 17.5, that is equal to 35 for the first class. For the next one, it is 3 times 32.5. The next one is 7 times 47.5. The next one, it is 6 times 62.5. For the next one, it is 6 times 77.5. And the last one, 6 times 92.5, right? Now, to obtain the value of x bar, all we have to have is sigma Fi Xi divided by sigma Fi, right? Let me find what is the value of sigma Fi Xi. That is sum of all these numbers, 35 plus 97.5 plus 332.5 and so on. When you sum all these numbers, you are getting sigma Fi Xi as 1860. And sigma Fi is 30 because you have anyway 30 students. But it is always better to sum all these numbers and see whether you are getting 30 or not. If you are not getting 30, it means you have made some mistake. So you have to verify or cross check again, right? Now we have sigma Fi Xi that is 1860 and sigma Fi that is equal to 30. It means x bar equal to 62, right? So now I can say that the mean of given data is 62. This particular method is called direct method. Please note this. Direct method of obtaining mean of the group data. You may recall that mean of ungrouped data was 59.3, right? For the same data set, we have obtained x bar as 59.3, whereas now we are getting mean of group data as 62. The reason for this is we have taken certain assumptions, right? We said that frequency of each class is centered around the midpoint. This is the assumption. Okay, because of that, whatever value we are getting for mean of the group data, that is approximate value. The true value is going to be, or the exact value is going to be the one which you obtained from ungrouped data, right? Whatever values you are getting from group data is an approximate value only. The reason is that we have made an assumption that frequency of each class is centered around the midpoint. Okay, that may not be obvious and that may not be true also. For example, for the first class, if you recall, we said that 2 students are there. First student has got 10 marks and second student has got 20 marks, right? So their mean is going to be 15, whereas we said that the class mark is 17.5, right? We said that the frequency, this particular 2 of each class is centered around the midpoint. We said that actually the class mark 17.5 is representing the class mark you obtained for these 2 people, right? The average mark you obtained for these 2 people is 15, whereas you are assuming it to be 17.5. That is the reason. Okay, when you have arranged the data into groups, there is a possibility that whatever class mark you obtained from this particular definition of upper class limit plus lower class limit divided by 2 is not exact. That is an approximation. That is why your mean of group data is always an approximate value. It is more or less close to the exact value, but it is not going to be exact, right? But we have been doing this for the reason that we don't want to present the data in ungrouped format. When you have huge data set, for example millions of data points, then it is going to be very difficult, right? That's why we chose to go for group data. The cost of that is, you are going to get approximate values. Hope you got the concept. Let us now understand assumed mean method for finding mean of group data. We have seen this data, right? It has got fi and xi values, and we know in the direct method we can get x bar as sigma fi xi divided by sigma fi, right? It requires multiplication of fi data with xi data, right? You had done 2 times 17.5, 3 times 32.5 and so on, right? For example, for xi, if you have very huge values, it's like here you have 17.5. Instead, if you have a 10 digit number, a 12 digit number, the multiplication is going to be difficult and time consuming, right? People tried to address that problem. That led to a method called assumed mean method. That's what we are going to learn now. We say that assumed mean a equal to 47.5. I chose 47.5 as assumed mean. Okay. One can take any number. For that matter, I can take it as 62.5 or 77.5. Any number I can take. But we chose 47.5 because it's sort of in the middle, right? And the deviation from assumed mean, if I define it as d equal to x minus a, then x bar, that is mean of the data, is defined as a plus sigma fi di divided by sigma fi. This is the formula. Let's understand how to get this particular formula also. But for time being, let's use this formula. If you want to use this formula to get the mean, all we have to do is we have to find di values, right? We said that d equal to x minus a means di is going to be xi minus a. We said a equal to 47.5, right? And we know the values of xi, 17.5, 32.5 and so on. So let's first start calculating the values of di equal to xi minus a for various classes. The first class, it is 17.5 minus 47.5, that is equal to minus 30. For the second class, it is minus 15. For the next class, it is 47.5 minus 47.5, that is equal to 0. For the next class, it is 62.5 minus 47.5, that is equal to 15. The next class, it is plus 30. And for the last class, it is 45, right? What I'll be doing now is I'll be calculating the value of fi di because that is required in this formula, right? So fi di, fi is 2 for the first class and di is minus 30. So it is 2 times minus 30, that is equal to minus 60. And for the next class, it is fi is 3 and di is minus 15. So 3 times minus 15, that is minus 45. For the next class, it is 7 times 0, that is equal to 0. For the next class, it is 6 times 15. For the next class, it is 6 times 30. And for the last class, it is 6 times 45, right? You sum them such that you get sigma fi di as 435. And sigma fi is 30. We know that already, right? So we can substitute these values such that I can get x bar as 47.5, that is A, and sigma fi di is 435. divided by sigma fi, that is equal to 30. When you simplify this, you get the answer as 47.5 plus 14.5, that is equal to 62. This is what exactly we have gotten earlier with direct method also, right? Mean of the group data is 62.0. The reason for that is this particular formula, whatever we have written, is essentially the same as sigma fi xi divided by sigma fi. We'll see that now. You got assumed mean method, I hope. Now let's understand how do you get this particular formula. We said that mean x bar equal to sigma fi xi divided by sigma fi, right? And a is the assumed mean of the data. I can write xi as a plus xi minus a, meaning I am adding a and subtracting a from xi, right? We have defined deviation di as xi minus a. It means for this particular quantity, I can use di, right? So it means xi equal to a plus di, right? Let's go and substitute that particular xi into this formula. X bar equal to sigma fi xi divided by sigma fi. So I'm writing a plus di for the xi in the numerator. Here, if you see, a is a constant, right? Whereas di is a variable because your summation is on I, right? So I can take a as the common out, or in other words, I can write it as a times sigma fi divided by sigma fi plus sigma fi di divided by sigma fi, right? This particular equation, I am separating it into a times sigma fi divided by sigma fi, the first term, plus sigma fi di divided by sigma fi, right? Now, if you observe here, I have sigma fi in the numerator and sigma fi in the denominator. Let me cross that. Let me cancel that so that I'll get it as a plus sigma fi di divided by sigma fi, right? This is what is the formula we have used for finding the assumed mean. Sorry, finding the mean of the group data using assumed mean method, right? Let me write that now. Mean of xi in assumed mean method is defined as x bar equal to a plus sigma fi di divided by sigma fi, where a is the assumed mean. You can assume any of the numbers from your xi, so that di is defined as xi minus a, right? There is another method called step deviation method. It further simplifies the calculations. Let's understand about that now. We have seen this data, right? When we have assumed mean a equal to 47.5, we got di as minus 30, minus 15 and so on, right? And if you observe, the class size of this particular problem is 15. 10 to 25 is 15, 25 to 40 is 15, like that. And if you observe the values you got for di, those are minus 30, minus 15, 0, 15, 30, 45. These are multiples of 15, right? So there is a way you can further simplify the calculation by defining a variable ui that is equal to di by h, right? When you make use of this kind of definition, the mean can be written as x bar equal to a plus h times sigma fi ui divided by sigma fi. This is the formula for obtaining mean of the group data in step deviation method. We'll try to understand this formula later. For time being, let's make use of this formula and obtain the mean of the group data. But doing that, what we have to first know is what is the value of ui, right? Because we know value of a, value of h, value of fi in the formula. What is missing is ui, right? Let's calculate those values. Ui is defined as di by h, right? So di for the first class is minus 30 and h is 15. So it is going to be minus 30 by 15, that is equal to minus 2. For the second class, it is going to be minus 15 divided by 15, right? That is equal to minus 1. For the third class, it is 0 by 15, that is equal to 0. For the next class, it is 15 by 15. For the next class, it is 30 by 15, that is equal to 2. And for the last class, it is 45 by 15, that is equal to 3. Right? Now you have values of ui. Let's find values of fi ui. Ui for the first class is minus 2. Fi is 2. Right? So their product is minus 4. For the next class, Fi is 3 and Ui is minus 1. So their product is minus 3. Similarly, if you calculate, for the next class, it is 7 times 0. For the next class, it is 6 times 1. For the next class, it is 6 times 2. And for the last class, it is 6 times 3. Right? Now let's take sum of Fi Ui, that is sigma Fi Ui equal to 29. And we know sigma Fi is 30, right? Sigma Fi is 30 and sigma Fi Ui is 29. So we now know all the values for all the variables A, H, sigma Fi Ui and sigma Fi in the formula. Let's substitute that and simplify so that you get x bar as 62. The mean of the group data is 62. Even in this method also you get the same value, right? The reason is that whatever formula we have written is exactly equal to x bar equal to sigma Fi xi divided by sigma Fi. Let's understand that now. We know mean x bar can be written as sigma Fi xi divided by sigma Fi, right? When you have A as the assumed mean of the data, we have seen that mean of the assumed mean method can be written as x bar equal to A plus sigma Fi di by sigma Fi, right? Now if I define di as h times di divided by h, right? What I'm saying is I'm multiplying di with h and dividing that with h, right? We have introduced a variable that is called ui equal to di by h, right? So we can make use of that definition here. But for time being, since we know x bar equal to A plus sigma Fi di divided by sigma Fi, let me introduce di equal to h times di by h. That's what I have written here. In the place of di here in this formula, I have written h times di divided by h, right? Here, h is the constant, that is 15 in the previous problem, right? That is class interval. It may vary from problem to problem, but for a given problem, h is constant. That's why we can take this out of the sigma symbol, right? We can take this as a common factor out of the summation. When you do that, you can write it as A plus h times sigma Fi times di by h divided by sigma Fi, right? You understood? I have taken this h out of the sigma symbol, out of the summation operation, right? If I define now di by h equal to ui, then it is going to be A plus h times sigma Fi ui divided by sigma Fi. This is what we have used, right? X bar equal to A plus h times sigma Fi ui divided by sigma Fi is the formula we have used earlier. Let me write that now. Mean of xi in step deviation method is x bar equal to A plus h times sigma Fi ui divided by sigma Fi, where h is the class size and ui is xi minus A divided by h. In other words, you can say that ui equal to di by h also, right? I hope you understood the formula, how you obtained the formula for step deviation method, right? Let us solve a problem based on this concept now. The table gives the percentage distribution of female teachers in primary schools of rural areas of various states and Union Territories of India. Find the mean percentage of female teachers using the three methods. We have seen three methods for computing the mean, right? Direct method, assumed mean method, and step deviation method. We are asked to find mean percentage of female teachers using all three methods. The table says that percentage of female teachers 15 to 25% is there in 6 number of states. 25 to 35% female teachers are there in 11 number of states, right? 75 to 85% of female teachers are there in only one state. Okay. Now let's try to find the mean of this particular data using the direct method first. We know for the first method, direct method, the formula mean is equal to x bar equal to sigma fi xi divided by sigma fi, right? We have fi here. All we have to have is xi, right? Xi, we said that the class mark xi is going to be the average of the class limits, right? Upper class limit plus lower class limit divided by 2. That's what we have done earlier, right? Let's do that now. This is going to be 15 plus 25 divided by 2, right? That is equal to 20. The next one, it is going to be 25 plus 35 divided by 2, that is equal to 30. The next one is going to be 40. For the next class, it is 50. Sorry, this is 45 to 55. For that class, it is 50. For the next class, it is 60. For the next class, it is 70. And for the last class, it is 80. Now we have class mark xi for all the classes and the frequency fi for all the classes, right? Now let's find fi xi. 6 times 20 is 120. 11 times 30 is 330. 7 times 40 is 280. 4 times 50 is equal to 200. For the next class, it is 4 times 60. For the next class, it is 2 times 70. For the last class, it is 1 times 80, right? Now let's find sum of all these values. Sigma fi xi is going to be 1390. When you sum the values 120 plus 330 plus 280 plus 200 plus 240 plus 140 plus 80, that is going to be equal to 1390. Similarly, when you sum the number of states, that is 35. States and union territories together, when this data was generated, that was 35. Okay. Now let's find mean x bar equal to sigma fi xi divided by sigma fi. That is going to be 1390 divided by 35. That is equal to 39.71. So to answer the question, we say mean percentage of female teachers in various states and union territories is 39.71%, right? You can write. Now let's solve the same problem using assumed mean method, right? For assumed mean method, the mean is defined as a plus sigma fi di divided by sigma fi, right? For assumed mean method, what we have to know is first what is the value of a assumed mean, and then we have to find di, which is defined as xi minus a, right? Let me assume that the assumed mean a equal to 50. You can take any of the numbers. You can take 40, you can take 60, you can take 70, whatever be, but I chose it to be 50. If assumed mean a equal to 50, we can get di, that is equal to xi minus a, right? Xi for the first class is 20 and assumed mean is 50. It means di is going to be 20 minus 50, that is equal to minus 30. For the next class, it is going to be 30 minus 50. For the next class, it is going to be 40 minus 50. For this particular class, it is going to be 50 minus 50. For the next class, it is 60 minus 50. For class of 65 to 75, it is 70 minus 50. For the last class, it is 80 minus 50, right? we have now di values. And we know values of fi. We know values of di now. So let's find fi di. Fi di for the first class is 6 times minus 30, that is equal to minus 80. For the next class, it is 11 times minus 20, that is equal to minus 220. The next class, it is 7 times minus 10. For the next class, it is 4 times 0. For the next class, it is 4 times 10. For the next class, it is 2 times 20. For the last class, it is 1 times 30, right? Now we have for all the classes, we have FIDI. Let's take some of them. That is FIDI is minus 360. What I have done is minus 180 plus minus 220 plus minus 70 plus 0 plus 40 plus 40 plus 30. When you do that, you got sigma FIDI as minus 360. And we have already obtained the value of sigma Fi, that is equal to 35. So let's substitute these now into the formula. So x bar equal to a plus sigma Fi di divided by sigma Fi, right? A is 50. Sigma Fi di is minus 360 and sigma Fi is 35. When you substitute and simplify, you get it as x bar equal to 50 minus 10.29, that is equal to 30.71. This is exactly what we got earlier also, right? So let me now write mean percentage of female teachers is 39.71%. Now let's solve the same problem using the step deviation method. In the step deviation method, when you have assumed mean A equal to 50, we got DI as shown here, right? What I would be doing now is, if I use class size equal to 10 to divide all these numbers, minus 30, minus 20, and so on, I can make use of this formula, right? X bar equal to A plus H times sigma Fi ui divided by sigma Fi to calculate the mean. Let's first get ui, that is equal to di by h. For the first class, it is going to be minus 30 divided by 10, that is minus 3. For the next class, it is minus 20 divided by 10, that is minus 2. For the next class, it is minus 10 divided by 10, that is equal to minus 1. Next one, 0 by 10, 10 by 10, 20 by 10, 30 by 10, right? You have now ui, you know fi. Let's find values of fi ui. Fi ui for the first class, it is 6 times minus 3, that is equal to minus 18. For the next class, it is 11 times minus 2. For the next class, it is 7 times minus 1. For the next class, it is 4 times 0. For the next class, it is 4. For the next class, it is 4. And for the last class, it is 3. So let's sum all these FIUIs such that I get sigma FIUI equal to minus 36. And sigma Fi is plus 35, right? Let's substitute these values into the formula. When you substitute, x bar is going to be 50 plus 10 times minus 36 divided by 35, right? When you simplify it, you get answer as 30.71. This is exactly what we got earlier also using direct method and assumed mean method, right? Let's write it now. The mean percentage of female teachers is 39.71%, right? Now let us learn about mode of group data. Before that, let's quickly recall mode of ungrouped data, what we have learned in the earlier classes. For example, let us consider this problem. The wickets taken by a bowler in 10 cricket matches are as follows: 2, 6, 4, 5, 0, 2, 1, 3, 2, and 3. Find the mode of the data. Mode of observations is defined as follows. It is the value among the observations that occurs most frequently. So in this data, which observation occurred most frequently is something you have to find. That is called your mode for this particular data. To do that, let's first arrange the given data in the order. It can be ascending order or descending order, just to, it is for our convenience sake. You can count how many times 2 has appeared. You can keep counting like that. But it is always better to arrange the given data in one order, ascending or descending, such that it is going to be fairly easy for you to figure out which observation has occurred most frequently. As you see here, 2 occurred thrice, 3 occurred twice, 4, 5, 6, 0, 1, they have occurred only once, right? So number 2 occurred 3 times. It means it is the most frequently occurred number in this particular data, right? So what I say is mode of the given data is 2, right? Now let's learn about mode of group data. A survey conducted on 20 households in a locality by a group of students resulted in the following frequency table. Some students have done a survey of 20 households and they obtained the frequency table as shown here. That has family size and number of families. Family size can be ranging from 1 person to 3 persons, 3 to 5 people, 5 to 7 people, 7 to 9 people, and there are families which have got 9 to 11 people. Okay, this is the frequency table given. Find the mode of this particular data. Family size 3 to 5 occurred 8 times, right? By looking at this table, you can say that 8 is the maximum number, right? The next number is 7, the next one is 2, the smallest one is 1, right? Since 8 is the bigger one, you can say that this particular class, this particular family size occurred most times. That's why we say that class 3 to 5 is model class. Please note this. Since we are looking for mode, we call this class as model class. Okay? Since 3 to 5 is the model class, the mode is going to lie within that class. But the question is, what is the mode? For mode, the formula mode of the group data, the formula is given as L plus f1 minus f0 divided by 2 times f1 minus f0 minus f2 times h. Okay, let's understand what each variable means. The L is the lower boundary of model class. In this particular case, the model class is 3 to 5 class, right? The lower boundary is 3. So L equal to 3. H is the size of the model class. That is 5 minus 3, that is equal to 2, right? F1 is the frequency of the model class. That is 8, right? F0 is the frequency of class preceding the model class. Model class is 3 to 5 class. The class preceding to the model class is the 1 to 3 class, right? We have to find its frequency, that is 7. So frequency of class preceding the model class, F0 is 7, right? Now F2 is defined as frequency of class succeeding the model class. The class succeeding the model class is 5 to 7 class, right? The frequency of that particular class is 2, right? So now we got values for all the variables given in the formula. Let's substitute them so that we can get mode. When you substitute all these values and simplify, you get mode as 3.26. So mode of the given data is 3.26, right? Now let's solve a problem on this concept. The marks distribution of 30 students in a mathematics exam are given in the table. Find the mode of this data. Also compare and interpret the mode and the mean. It means we have to find the mode and we have to find the mean and compare and interpret. What does mode mean and what does mean or the average means, right? As you see here, 40 to 55 class has got maximum number of students, right? The frequency is high for this particular class. That's why we say that 40 to 55 class is the model class. And we know that mode lies within the model class. It means mode can be any number in between 40 to 55. For obtaining that, we have a formula that is defined as L plus F1 minus F0 divided by 2 times F1 minus F0 minus F2 times H. Here L is the lower boundary of the model class, that is equal to 40. H is size of model class, that is 15. F1 is frequency of model class, that is 7. And F0 is frequency of class preceding the model class, that is 3. F2 is frequency of class succeeding the model class, that is 6. Substitute all these values and simplify such that you get the mode as 52. Right? Mode of the given data is 52. Now let's find the mean. You may recall that this particular problem we have already solved. Quickly see the steps so that you can quickly recall how to calculate the mean also. We have Fi and class interval is given. So we have to get the class mark, right? For the class mark, what we said is going to be sum of the lower class limit and upper class limit divided by 2, or the average of these two class limits, right? So that's how you got it as 17.5 for the first class. Next class it is going to be 32.5. Like that we have calculated the class mark for all the classes earlier also, right? Now we have Fi and Xi. All we need is Fi Xi in the formula. So let's do that. That is going to be 2 times 17.5, 35. 3 times 32.5, that is 97.5. Like that you can compute so that you have now Fi Xi for all the classes. Take sum of that. That is sigma Fi Xi, that is equal to 1860, and sigma Fi, that is equal to 30. Now you substitute these into the formula given, so that X bar is going to be 1860 divided by 30, that is equal to 62. So let me write that mean of the given data is 62, whereas mode of the given data is 52, right? Now let's, what does it mean? Let's interpret that. It means on an average, students obtained 62 marks, right? The mean is 62. It means on an average, students got 62 marks. Mode is 52 means maximum number of students obtained 52. You understood? Maximum number of students obtained 52 marks, which falls in this class, whereas average of this particular class is 62, right? Now let us learn about median of the group data. Before that, quickly recall median of ungrouped data, which we learned in the earlier classes. Consider marks of total 6 subjects in a unit test, that are 25, 23, 24, 23, 21, and 25. You have to find the median of this data. Median is defined as the value of middlemost observation in the data. Value of the middlemost observation in the data. It means to get the middlemost data, we have to arrange the given data in ascending order or descending order. So let me arrange it in ascending order so that I can write it as 21, 23, 23, 24, 25, 25, right? Now, as per the definition, we have to find the middlemost observation. What is the middlemost observation? Here I have 6 observations. There is no single middlemost observation, right? You have 2 middlemost observations. So for that, what the median is defined as, for example, if number of observations n is an odd number, then median is going to be n by n plus 1 divided by 2 observation. Similarly, when number of observations n is an even number, the median is going to be average of n by 2th and n by 2 plus 1th observations. In this particular case, we have total 6 observations, right? It means we have to go with the second definition where n is even number. We have to find n by 2th observation and n by 2 plus 1th observation. Here n by 2 is going to be 3 and n by 2 plus 1 is 4. It means the median is the third observation and fourth observation's average of third and fourth observation. The third observation is 23 and fourth observation is 24. Their average is the median, that is 23.5. I hope you got the concept. Let's take a look at another problem. Marks out of 50 obtained by 100 students in a test are given in the table below. Find the median. You're given a table now. 20 marks are obtained by 6 students. 29 are obtained by 28 students. 28 are obtained by 24 students, right? Like that. Let's arrange these marks in ascending order again. When you arrange, 20 comes first, then 25, then 28, then 29, 33, 38, 42, 43. The total number of observations is 100. You see, I have taken marks and arranged them in ascending order 20, 25, 28, and their frequencies are the number of students as is I have written, right? For 20, it is 6. For 25, it is 20. So I have written as is, so that when you have now total 100 students are there, it means total number of observations is 100, right? And it is an even number. So median is defined as n by 2th plus n by 2 plus 1th observations average, right? Now, since n equal to 100, n by 2 is 50 and n by 2 plus 1 is 51, right? So median is going to be average of 50th and 51st observation, right? Now, what is the 50th observation? You can't right away see and tell, right? For that, what we have to do is we have to find cumulative frequency. Here we have written frequencies. Let's write cumulative frequency so that we can find what is the 50th observation and what is the 51st observation. So for that, let me write it like up to 20 marks. We have 6 people, that is cumulative frequency. Then up to 25 marks, you have total 20 plus 6, 26 people. That's what I have written. This is 6 plus this particular 20 is 26, right? Up to 28 marks, it means we have to take sum of all these three. In other words, I can 26 plus 24 can be also the same, right? Let me write that way. 26 plus 24 is 50. Up to 29 marks, 28 plus 50, that is 78, right? Up to 33 marks means 15 plus 70, that is 93. Up to 38 marks, 93 plus 4, that is 97. Up to 42 marks, it is 99. Up to 43 marks, it is 100. You see here, when you sum, the cumulative frequency you got at the end is 100, right? That has to be exactly matched with total frequency here. If it is not, it means the cumulative frequency what you have done must be wrong. You have to cross check once, verify, so that your answers are not going to be wrong. Now, from this, what you can say is 50th observation is here, right? That is corresponding to 28 marks. The 51st observation is immediately here, right? That corresponds to 29 marks. Now we have to take the average of these two numbers. Median is average of 28 and 29 marks. That is 28.5. Right? I hope you got the concept. Now let's go to, okay, before that, median equal to 28.5 means 50% of students got marks less than 28.5 and 50% of students got marks more than 28. That is what the median means. Okay, now let's understand median of group data. Group 2 frequency distribution of marks of 53 students. Out of 100 marks in a test is given, we have to find the median. 53 students marks are given. The table looks like this. 0 to 10, you have 5 students. 90 to 100, you have 8 students. For this data, you have to find the median. Okay. As I said earlier, first check whether your sum is coming out to be 53 or not, because you said that 53 students are there here, right? It means the sum of frequencies has to be 53. Now let's arrange, or let's find the cumulative frequency. For that, up to 10 we have 5 students. Up to 20 is going to be 5 plus 3, right? 5 plus 3, that is equal to 8. Up to 30, 8 plus 4, that is going to be 12. Up to 40, it is 15. Up to 50, 18. Up to 60 is 22. Up to 70 is 29. Up to 80 is 38. Up to 90 is 45. Up to 100 is 53. You observe this. This 53 and this 53 are same, because up to 100 means 0 to 100 if you have, so all the class members have to get 0 to 100 marks, right? So the total number of students in the class is going to be equal to 0 to 100. That's why it is going to be up to 100 equal to 53, right? Now we have cumulative frequency. Since total number of observations is 53, we have to find 53 plus 1 divided by 2th observation, right? That is 27th observation, right? So your median is going to be 27th observation. But here, interestingly, we don't have a number for the marks. It is the class, right? 60 to 70. That's why I'm calling it as median class. The median class is 60 to 70. Okay. If it is a single number, we could have simply said that median is so and so. But since here the class is given, we say median class is 60 to 70. It means the median is going to be a number between 60 and 70. Okay. Let's now learn how to get that. Let's take a note of this. Median class is 60 to 70. When you have such a scenario, median is defined as L plus n by 2 minus CF divided by F times H. Okay. Here, L is lower boundary of the median class. We said 60 to 70 class is the median class, right? Lower bound of that particular class is 60, right? L equal to 60. N is total number of observations. We know that is equal to 53 students and 53 observations. N by 2 is 26 by 26.5. Here, we have seen earlier, we have used, since it is a even number, we said that it is going to be n plus 1. Sorry, it is odd number. That's why it is going to be n plus 1 divided by 2th observation. In other words, you can make use of this definition, which says that median class is the earliest class whose cumulative frequency is greater than n by 2. N by 2 is 26.5, right? So 29 is the earliest class whose cumulative, 60 to 70 is the earliest class whose cumulative frequency is greater than n by 2, meaning 26.5 is less than 29. In other words, 29 is the first number which is higher than 26.5. Other numbers are much bigger, right? The first number you see is 29. That's why 60 to 70 class is called median class. Please note this. You can make use of this formula to identify what is the median class instead of going by number of observations. That is another way to do it. It's not wrong though. The next thing you have to find is f, that is frequency of the median class. Frequency of the median class is what? 7, right? CF is cumulative frequency of class preceding the median class. The class preceding the median class is this, right? 50 to 60 class is the class preceding the median class. Its cumulative frequency is 22. It means CF is 22. And H is class size or size of the median class, that is 10. Right? Now let's substitute all these into the formula given for median such that you get median as 66.4. Earlier I said that median is going to be a number within this particular class, right? 66.4 is the median, it lies in this class. That is the whole idea. Let's write it. Median is 66.4. Let us solve a problem based on this concept. The median of the following data is 525. Find the values of x and y if the total frequency is 100. The total frequency is given when you sum 2, 5, x, 12, 17, 20 and so on, you will get total frequency that is equal to 100. It is given. Here some frequencies are missing. They are denoted using x and y. We have to find that, right? Median is 525, that is given. It means median class is going to be 500 to 600 class, right? And total frequency is given, that is equal to 100. Now let's find total frequency from the data given by summing all the frequencies. 2 plus 5 plus x plus 12 and so on. When you do that, you get the total as 76 plus x plus y. It means 76 plus x plus y equal to 100. Let me rearrange it and write it as x plus y equal to 24. Let's take a note of this. Now let's write the cumulative frequency, right? We have been doing this when we started with median. We have been doing cumulative frequency. Let's do that now also. The first class it is 2. For the next class it is going to be 2 plus 5. That is equal to 7. For the next class, it is going to be 7 plus x, right? Let me write that. For the next class, it is going to be 7 plus x plus 12. That is equal to 19 plus x. For the next class, it is 19 plus x plus 17, right? That is going to be 36 plus x. For the next class, it is going to be 36 plus x plus 20. That is 56 plus x. Now, for the next class, it is going to be 56 plus x plus y, right? 56 plus x plus y plus 9. That is equal to 65 plus x plus y. Then you add 7 such that it becomes 72 plus x plus y. The next one, when you add 4, it becomes 76 plus x plus y. You remember I said earlier, this number has to match exactly with the total given in the problem or the frequency. So sum of the sigma fi has to be equal to the cumulative frequency. Please note this, right? Now let's take a note of that. And we know median is defined as L plus n by 2 minus CF divided by F times H, right? L is lower boundary of median class. We said the median class is 500 to 600 class, right? Its lower boundary is 500, that is L equal to 500. N is number of observations, that is equal to 100, right? It means n by 2 equal to 50. F is frequency of the median class, that is equal to 20, right? CF is the cumulative frequency of the class preceding the median class. The class preceding the median class is this, and its cumulative frequency is 36 plus x, right? CF equal to 36 plus x. Then H is class size. We know class size is 100. Let's substitute all these such that median 525 equal to 500 plus 50 minus 36 minus x divided by 20 times 100. When you simplify it, if I subtract 500 from 525, it becomes 25, right? And 50 minus 36 is 14. Now, if I cancel this, I'll get 5. And then if I cancel this 5, then I'll get 5 here, right? So let's write 5 equal to 14 minus x. It means x equal to 9, right? And we already know that x plus y equal to 24. When I substitute x equal to 9 into this, it becomes 9 plus y equal to 24, right? If you rearrange it, you get y equal to 15. So to answer the problem, x equal to 9 and y equal to 15 is the answer, right? Now let's understand which value of central tendency to use. We have seen measures of central tendency that are mean, median, and mode, right? What measure to be used and when to use is the question. Mean is the measure of central tendency which is most frequently used to represent the data, right? Majority of the times mean is used to represent the data because it considers all the observations, and the mean is going to be lying between the smallest and largest values of the observations, right? But when the data has extreme values, mean can get affected. For example, if everybody is attending the class, once in a while they may take leave, for example, then mean may be representing average attendance percent of the class, right? For example, 4 5 students are not coming regularly, then mean percent is going to get affected because of these numbers, right? This is an extreme, people are not coming to the class. When you have such thing, you have a problem. Mean percentage of attendance of the class is getting affected because of those 4 5 people who are not attending. In such cases, mean is not a good representative of the data, right? Because your average attendance percentage of the class is going to be something like 75 or something like that. It's not a good representation, right? The good representation has to be something like which talks about majority of the people, how they are performing or how they are attending, right? When extreme values are there in the data, median can be a better measure of central. For example, in this case, 99% of the times people are attending the class except those 4 5 people, then median is going to give you that number 99.5% or something like that. So that represents better. Okay. When individual observations are not important and we look for typical observation, then median is used. For example, your principal is looking for what is the average attendance percentage of the class, then median can give him a right idea. For example, those 4 5 people who are missing the class, maybe for some reason, genuine reason, they may be missing the class, right? You don't want to have completely biased opinion about the class because of those 4 5 people, right? So median is a better uh, measure of central tendency in that case. Mode is used to represent most frequent observation. For example, you want to know which movie is popular, which TV channel is popular, or among all the videos I upload, which video is more popular with the students. Mode is going to tell you that kind of information, right? I hope you got the concept. Let us now understand graphical representation of cumulative frequency distribution. The first one is less than OZ. Grouped frequency distribution of marks of 53 students out of 100 marks in a test is given, right? This data we have seen already. And total number of students, if you take the sum of Fi, that is equal to 53, right? We have seen how to get the cumulative frequency. Since I said less than OZ, let's use that terminology. Less than 10 is 5. Less than 20 is going to be 5 plus 3, that is equal to 8. Less than 30 is going to be 8 plus 4, that is equal to 12. So less than 40 is 15. Less than 50 is 18. Less than 60 is 22. Less than 70 is 29. Like that, when you do it, you get less than 100 equal to 53. This 53 is equal to this 53. Please note this. Now, if you plot this data, the less than cumulative frequency on y-axis and upper class limit on x-axis. The upper class limit is 10, 20, 30, 40, right? And cumulative frequency is 5, 8, 12, 15, and so on. When you plot that, you get a figure like this. This is called less than OZ. OZ means the graph of cumulative frequency distribution, right? Now let's understand about more than OZ. And the data is as is. In this case, I am getting the cumulative frequency for more than type, right? In this particular case, 0 to 10 is the class interval, right? 0 or more than 0, right? I can say that 0 or more than 0 means total 53 students will be having either 0 mark or more than 0 marks, right? So the cumulative frequency is going to be 53. Please note this. The next one is 10 or more than 10. 10 or more than 10 means you would be having all this data except this particular number 5, right? It means the cumulative frequency is going to be 53 minus 5, that is equal to 48, right? Now 20 or more than 20, when you say, you will not be having this particular class and this particular class, right? Rest all will be there. It means you are going to subtract 8, that is 5 plus 3, from 53, or 48 minus 3, right? That is equal to 45. 30 or more than 30 means 45 minus 4. You see, 45 minus 4 is going to be 41. Now 40 or more than 40, when I say, it is going to be 41 minus 3, that is equal to 38, right? 50 or more than 50, when I say, it is going to be 38 minus 3, that is equal to 35. So 60 or more than 60, when I say, it is going to be 35 minus 4, that is 31. So similarly, if you do it, 90 or more than 90 is going to be 15 minus 7, right? That is equal to 8. You see here, 90 or more than 90 is 8. It means 90 or more than 90 means it is representing the number of students who have got 90 to 100 marks, right? That's why these two are same. 8 and 8 you are getting because 90 to 100, that frequency is 8. That's what is said here. 90 or more than 90, that is equal to 8. Now we have the data of cumulative frequency and marks obtained also, right? Let's plot that. More than type cumulative frequency versus lower limit of class. Your lower limit for these classes is going to be 0, 10, 20 and so on. And the frequencies are 53, 48, 45 and so on. When you plot this, you get a figure like this, right? This is called more than OSIV. It starts with 53 at 0 and ends with 8 at 90, right? Now, let us understand how to obtain median from the graph. Let's now learn about finding the median from less than OSIV. We have seen this, right? We have drawn less than OSIV here for the data given given on marks of 53 students, right? Total number of observations n equal to 53, it means n by 2 equal to 26.5, right? Now let me draw a line at n by 2. It is intersecting this particular OSIV at this point, right? Now let me draw a line perpendicular to x-axis from that point. That is called median. For example, it is cutting the x-axis at, let's say, 66 point something, right? So this is median. So the median is 66.4. From the graph paper, when you do it, you get exactly the median. But here you may not be able to say whether it is 66.4 or 66.2. How do I say? You may have that question. But the procedure is same. When you have graph paper, you will get it correct. Right? Now let's find median using more than OSIV type graph. We have seen more than OSIV graph, right? And the total number of observations is 53 here also. It means n by 2 equal to 26.5. Let me draw a line parallel to x-axis at n by 2. It is intersecting the OSIV at this particular point, right? Now let me draw a perpendicular to x-axis from that point. When I do that, I'm getting the median as the point where that particular line intersects with the x-axis. This is 66.4, right? Now let's learn about how to find median using both the OSIVs. It means let's plot both the OSIVs on the same graph. When you do that, you get a figure like this, right? As you see here, these two points are intersecting, these two curves are intersecting at this point, right? Let me draw a line perpendicular to x-axis through that point. And that particular line cuts the x-axis at this point, that is 66.4. That is the median. Now you learned how to obtain the median from the frequency distribution data given, and when you plot them, you are calling them as OSIVs, and using those OSIVs you are able to get the median, right? I hope you like the video. Please like, share and subscribe to our channel Learn to Score. Thank you.